Good morning, welcome to Resource Prepping. I'm your host, Greg. I'm going to try and give you some answers to questions you may or may not have asked, but you're pondering, what is the orange man in the White House? Why is he doing that? Why is he saying that? Why is he, aggravating Greenland, Mexico, South America, and everything else? Is he just doing it because he's a bully? Absolutely not. And I will give you the reasoning why he is not saying it, why the press is not covering it, and why we could be in a war in 2026 over this. Silver. By the way, it crashed down to $71. That cleared out all the paper investors, all the weak-kneed hoarders, and now, as predicted, the physical stock is back on the market, and it is up to $76 an ounce. This did not change in any way, shape, or form your physical stack. That was wiped out on paper only, not your physical stack. The price didn't drop when you go to buy gold at any of these like SD Bullion or Noble Gold or any of these others that you see William Devane saying, I cover my ass by buying precious metals. He's absolutely correct. That price did not drop, and it's going to go over $100 in 2026, and I'm going to tell you why, and why it is a national security emergency that the government start hoarding up to 500 million ounces in the next 3 years. Why it is critical to our national security and our Defense Department. You've heard President Trump saying, we want Greenland, we want Chile, we want the Panama Canal, we want this, we want that. We want Maduro out. And it's not because he doesn't like the people. It's not because, he has ego to say, I'm going to control the world. That's not it at all, friends. He's not telling you why, because it would scare the bejeebies out of you, but I'm going to tell you why. In 2026, in 2 days, China is going to ban all exports of silver ore going out of the country. They're the number 2 producing silver nation in the world. And they are going to stop exporting it. And there's a reason why, and it's a strategic reason why, because they are going to be ready for war in 2026, and they can absolutely devastate the United States and the rest of the world. Period. When you see on file from the news the submarines or the cruisers, the destroyers launching these Tomahawk missiles and taking out Iran's secret nuclear facilities, each one of those Tomahawk missiles contains up to 500 ounces of silver. Why? Because silver is the best conductor of electricity and the most heat resistant and corrosion resistant, guaranteeing the guidance system on these cruise missiles complete and total accuracy. That's why they say we can hit a target 1,000 miles away with pinpoint precision. It's due to, in part, the silver conductors and the guidance system and the microchips made with silver to hit that target. Drones, artillery rounds, torpedoes, ignited by lithium batteries with copper or with silver tops to conduct that charge to ignite that torpedo's guidance system and explosion. The United States does not produce enough silver to support the Defense Department. Period. Full stop. The Defense Department has zero silver bullion backup to melt down and continue the war machine. If the supply chains are cut from South America, from China, the Defense Department, Raytheon, will shut down in a month and a half. Period. The Defense Department has to have 500 million ounces of silver to support a 3-year war machine effort to defend this country and to attack those that are doing it. China has been hoarding gold and silver for the past 30 to 40 years and has enough to build and complete the subs, the warships, their cruise missiles, so on and so forth, indefinitely. Enough time to take out all of us, all the Allied powers, period, full stop. If the supply line is cut, say Mexico, oh boy, Mexico, and you've heard Trump say, we're going to, declare war on the Mexico cartels and everything else, and Sheinbaum, the president, says, no, you're not. You're not coming into this country. There's more than drugs behind it. Mexico is the largest exporter of silver to the United States, full stop. Mexico is the largest producer here in the South American region and exporter to the United States. 25% or more goes to the United States. If Mexico says, hey, we're nationalizing our mines and we're saying, everybody out, we are not exporting any more silver at a reduced rate to the United States so you can get rich and build your war machine, then turn it around against us, that's not happening. Peru, their mines are controlled in part by China. China has the smelters there. China controls the iron ore there. They give Peru first dibs on buying the ore. The rest of it is shipped directly to China. Same with the copper. You're going to see copper start to go ballistic as well. So if you have an appetite to buy copper, and not just for cooking pots and pans, but for other things, you're going to see that price go up dramatically as well. China is preparing for war in 2026 against the United States. That's why Trump is saying we need Greenland, not only for its minerals, for our prescription medicine, so we don't rely on China, which is in part the truth. We need it for everything else they can so we can strip mine that country for our Defense Department. Canada exports a little bit, but even Canada says we don't have enough to control the 500 million ounces required for the next 3 years. There's not enough on the market. There is not enough silver bullion being produced entirely to build the reserves back up that the Defense Department needs to continue on defending our nation. So it is extremely critical that the United States take control of South America under whatever the Monroe Doctrine, if you want to believe in that. But it's a matter of national security, and that's why Trump needs Chile, Peru, Mexico, all to turn MAGA, or at least get rid of the liberal rulers in those nations. And Peru just elected a conservative to get rid of the communist-leaning senators and governors in that state, and they are once again looking towards the United States. It is to their benefit. The United States has unlimited money, so that we think. They can pay any price for any silver on the market. Executive Order 14017 signed in February 2021. Government can force sale of silver to the Defense Department first. It doesn't go to the commercial grade smelters, refiners. It goes directly to the government. So a miner says, okay, I've got, as an example, 5,000 ounces of silver. I'm going to sell it to the refiner. The refiner buys it X amount of price. The government steps in and says, That's never going to hit the market. Apple can wait. Musk can wait. AI can wait. It goes to us first, and we're paying you the price. Period. Never sees it. Everybody else is second now. They put as what is called a DX priority stamp on that mineral. Nobody else can do it. If the refiner says, hell with the Defense Department, I can get $100 an ounce on the open market, the government will say, you're not putting it on the market. We put a DX stamp on it. You're selling it to us, nobody else. And if you fail to follow that order, we are going to arrest you, and we are going to confiscate that, and we will refine that mineral ourselves. Period. Everybody else has to stand in line, and that includes me. We're last. 2026 may see a dramatic shift in the amount of silver on the market to buy. Under that executive order, the government, Trump, or whoever will be in charge, can force the commercial banks to sell entire physical holdings to the Defense Department until it meets its quota. Period. Now everybody's saying, well, they're going to come after my silver. They're going to come after, all these brokers and everything else. Not yet. Not yet. They will pay the brokers. They will pay SD Noble and all these others that you see on TV. They will buy their entire stock, and you will see nothing. You will see sold out signs. It'll go to the government. Period. Government has what is called the infinite bid to pay any price. If you're somebody looking to say, I'm going to buy, you have paper and say you have a buy order, and I want to buy, as an example, 100 ounces at going rate. Say it's $76 an ounce right now. I'm buying it for $76, 100 ounces. The government will step in behind you and say, no, I will buy your entire stock at $80 an ounce. Whatever I bid, I'm outbid. Period. That's why we are preparing to go to war with China. The Defense Department is scrambling because they let their reserves go to printing American Eagles and commemorative silver and all this other kind of stuff. They sold it all off until technology says we demand silver, and they don't have any more. So now they're in a priority rush to restock it. Under the Treasury Department, there is this order, a secretive order, called the Exchange Stabilization. And if you're saying, wait a minute, if the government's buying all this up, why isn't the price of silver saying, okay, the government's buying it at $100 an ounce, we're freezing it, why isn't that shortage being shown on there? And why isn't the Congress and the Senate questioning the Defense Department and saying, where's all that money going? We know you need, $1.4 million to build each Tomahawk missile. How does that break down? Under the Stabilization Act, the Exchange Stabilization Act, they're not required to give Congress a breakdown of components, the cost, where that money's going, or the Senate. Period. It's operated under the Treasury. The Treasury Department does not have to answer to Congress or Senate, and at any time, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, can say, you know what, we're sitting on pallets of Swiss francs as an example. We need to buy silver. Mexico says we're not interested in your paper dollar because we don't believe that's going to hold that. However, we do like the Swiss franc, and we require $1 billion delivered to us via cargo plane and will continue to sell you another year's supply of silver. Scott Bessent can order that exchange, or gold, or whatever commodity it is required to continue on buying that silver, so Raytheon and the Defense Department can continue to build the tanks, the guidance systems, the torpedoes, and the Tomahawk missiles. They can declare it a national security risk, stops all questions, no answers, buy, hoard, and everything else. They also cover their tracks by setting up buyers for the government. So it's actually a secret buyer, which is the government. J.P. Morgan is the front for the government. That explains why J.P. Morgan reversed positions immediately on buying silver and selling it off as quick as they get it for a profit. J.P. Morgan is now sitting on 2.5 billion ounces estimated, and sitting on it and paying top dollar. They just scooped up another 1 point some million ounces of silver when it dropped down to $71 an ounce. The government is using JP Morgan and other banks to buy up the silver, the physical assets of silver on the market, so they can rebuild the Defense Department war machine. If we cannot do that, and we cannot continue to build our weapons, do you think the United States is going to allow Mexico, Peru, Chile to sell to China? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Will not happen. You will see a coup, and if that coup fails, you will see military boots on the grounds on those mines saying, this is all coming to us. We'll compensate you if you're lucky. But that silver ore is going directly to U.S. refiners to build up the military war machine. That's why Peru just has a conservative president, and they are getting rid of all the communist senators and congressmen in Peru, Chile, and everything else. They just turned hard right. That's why Trump is pushing Maduro out of Venezuela. Not only is Maduro supposedly exporting drugs to the United States, which I believe he is, and all these other criminals, which I know he is, he wants Maduro out, which is a communist, idealistic exporter and an ally of China and Russia. He wants them out. He wants to swing Brazil hard right to ensure we get oil exports and mineral exports, but primarily as a landing base for those regions in South America that have physical assets, minerals, that we need to support our nation. Period. Other nations that build weapons as well require silver. There is not enough silver production to support everyone, NATO included. China knows this. China has the mines in Peru, Chile, and other places, and they're controlling it and have been controlling. That's why the Panama Canal reached crisis point, because now China has that canal and saying we can ship it and go bypass that directly to us. China has been hoarding silver and gold for years, decades, while the United States was asleep at the wheel and helping print this all around the world so I can enjoy it. That's going to come to a stop. We are preparing for war because China knows it has the upper hand right now, and they may actually launch it in 2026, knowing that in 2 to 3 months, we cannot produce more weapons. We can produce bullets. We can produce artillery shells that don't require guidance. Our planes require the silver for their engines so that if the engine seizes up, it doesn't blow up on the plane. I hope this gives you a little bit of insight as to what the national security interest of silver is and why Trump is saying it is a national emergency and we are not exporting it. We are buyers, period. We're going to take it. We're going to buy it. We may pay you, we may not. But there will be a war over precious metals coming very soon if things aren't resolved quickly. Just like in World War II, Japan required oil, tin, copper, rubber for their war machine. They went to the Philippines and took it. Any place else that they had the commodities they needed to support their war machine, they invaded and took it. Look for a repeat, 2026, 2027. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. I know this is a little long. It should open your eyes to how things are really operating. And when Trump says we need Greenland, we need this, we need that, it's a reason for it. It's all about this and the National Department of Defense, the Department of War. Department of War. Let that sink in. Get yourself right with God right now. Repent of your sins, be baptized, be born again, and it won't matter when the world self-destructs. You'll live on in the kingdom of heaven. Greg out.